we will continue from where we have left before to do a more complicated data pre-processing. So before you open a new notebook, Python notebook, I want you to go to Kaggle. You will see the data link here. And I want you to go to the input, and there will be a 4 data sets, car details from car um, dick hole, and we have the car details, V3, car data, and car details. In this exercise, I will do for the car details from car dick hole. You will also, I will also make another video for the car details and for a training and as exercise, try to do the data car and the data details. Now, after you opening a new notebook, so let's import the libraries that you're going to use in this exercise. So NumPy as a NB, and then import pandas as a BD, and finally from sklearn, we will use the B processing. So sklearn pre-processing import label with capital letter, encoder with capital letter in the beginning, and there is no space between them. Now let's import our data. So let's call this one V1, which is bd dot read underscore the CSV file. And this is will be a capital letter. So put on the caps lock. This is will be car details from car deco, and close the caps lock dot CSV. I forget the citation here. Now let's read, for instance, the tail of this data set. So tail for 20 of them. So you can see the data that we have, the brand name, the type of the brand, the manufacturing year, selling price, how much kilometer it's driven, the fuel type. So we have a petrol, we have diesel, who's the seller, individual, I guess there will be a dealer. Then the type of transmission mostly is manual. I think there will be automatic. We have the owner, so second owner, first owner, there is a third owner. So imagine you all predict the selling price and what factors will impact that. So I can assume the brand, but this is need to be changed into categories. So it will be very complicated. For simplicity, we're gonna just only use the year, assuming that if it's too old, so the brand doesn't play much in that sense. Uh, yes, and maybe not true, but anyway, to simplify the problem, we have the kilometer. The fuel, of course, will be a rule. The seller type, the transmission, and the owner. So let's see how this data is big. So B1 dot shape for that thing here and run it. So it's 4,340 rows. So that's a large data. So definitely we need to see more about that. So let's see. So I can browse up to 50. More than that is hard for me. So we can see we have a petrol, we have the CNG. So this is also another type. So we have 3 categories. I think these needed a dummy variable since it needs more than 3. Then we have the seller transmission. So we have a seller and transmission, sorry. We have the individual dealer. So this is also just only to change it from string to numeric, and this is automatic and manual. So 2 categories. Now, third owner, fourth owner. So this is could be categorized as an integer, which will be impacting directly the seller. So this is only change from string to Numeric also applies this one also, but the fuel needs more improvement. So since we have a beginning, so let's just do it for the ones that we are want to play with. So v1 dot head, just to make it closer to me. So the first 5 of that. So I want to just do not have any typo, make it closer to me. And now let's define this function. Label encoder is equals the function we have imported from the sklearn preprocessing encoder, and open and close banana brackets. So we define this function now. Let's see the variables. So we see v1 for the seller type. And this is will be equals label encoder dot. So we're gonna use the fit function. So fit transform. I hope I have typed it correctly. And we will gonna apply it for the seller type. Now let's repeat the same thing here 2 other times. And this time we're gonna change the transmission and then to the owner. And run it. Okay, so now we're gonna create a new variable. Let's call it v1 dummy. We can call it v1 fuel as you wish, but since we have only dummy variable, so let's call it dummy. So this is bd dot get underscore dummies. So du mmi es. Now we're gonna add the fuel. So fuel v1 banana bracket v1 fuel, and we're gonna run it. So we know that we don't need the fuel anymore, so we're gonna drop it. So v1 equals bd, or sorry, v1 dot drop this value. So we're gonna drop the v1 fuel. I think I made a mistake here, so let's just call it the column name fuel, and axis equals to 1. And now we're gonna make a bend between the leftover v1. So v1 will equals bd dot concat, and then we're gonna apply it for v1, also for the v1 dummy, v1 underscore du double my, and then for axis equals 1, and run it. Now let's see how the new matrix look like. v1 dot head, and run it. So you can see the new matrix look very efficient. We have the name, so you can play with it if you want, the year, the selling price, the driven, the seller type, the transmission, the owner, and finally we have the fuel type. Okay. In next exercise, we will handle a more complicated data sets.